May 4th, 1986, her family had left her by herself for a vacation out of the country, and Janelle remained home alone. A male friend from work visited her that evening because she was afraid to be alone, and he left her at the house at approximately 11 p.m. Prior to leaving, both he and Janelle heard noises outside of the house. They did not see anyone, and they ultimately attributed the noise to either a cat or a washer or dryer. Between May 4th, 1986 and May 5th of 1986, you, Mr. DeAngelo, unlawfully entered the Cruz residence with the intent to bind Janelle's wrists, her ankles, to rape her, to kill her, and to steal from her. You attacked her, you beat her, and you raped her. You murdered her in the first degree by bludgeoning her multiple times in her face and her head, causing subdural hemorrhage with cerebral lacerations due to crushing skull fractures. DeAngelo's decision to kill Janelle Cruz was willful, it was deliberate, it was premeditated, and it was evidenced by the nature and extent of the fatal injuries inflicted and the fact that the defendant at the time had already committed numerous other killings in a similar fashion. DeAngelo's intent to rape and to steal also was demonstrated by evidence found at the scene and the fact that he had already committed a very large number of rapes and thefts in a similar manner. In the afternoon of May 5th, 1986, a real estate agent who had listed the Cruz home for sale found Janelle's body lying face up in her bed and summoned the police. Her head, her neck, and her upper portion of her torso were covered with a comforter. She was brutally beaten. She suffered numerous lacerations and contusions to her face and head. She had bruising to her eyes, her nose, and her lips. 3 of her teeth had been knocked out, and she had swallowed a significant amount of blood. There was a wound near her right wrist. Blue fiber was observed between the fingers of her right hand, on the inside of her right forearm, on the palm of her left hand, on her upper left hand, and on her outer left forearm. The autopsy surgeon, Dr. Richard, advised that the weapon used to murder Janelle would have been something similar to a hammer, however, not necessarily a hammer. A pipe wrench, which had belonged to the Cruz family, had recently been stolen. The wrench was last seen on the ground in their backyard a few days prior to Janelle's murder. Semen was located between Janelle's upper legs and around her buttocks. Vaginal swabs from Janelle also were collected during the autopsy. A mixture of DNA consistent with one foreign male contributor and a female contributor, Janelle Cruz, was generated from the sperm fraction of the vaginal swab. On December of 1996, the Orange County Sheriff's Crime Lab established DNA matches to the Harrington, Whithoon, and Cruz cases. In 1998, the Orange County Sheriff's Crime Lab matched all Orange County cases to the Ventura case. In June of 2001, again, the same lab confirmed that the DNA from the Contra Costa rape cases matched to the Orange County and Ventura rape murders. In April of 2011, the California Department of Justice conducted additional DNA testing on Santa Barbara's Domingo Sanchez murder victim case. Those DOJ uploads to the DNA database from the Santa Barbara case were put into CODIS, and the results, which linked the DNA from the Santa Barbara murder case to the Contra Costa, Orange County, and Ventura cases. On March 12, 2020, a buccal swab was taken from you, Mr. DeAngelo, and the DNA profile from that buccal swab matched the DNA to the foreign male contributor from the sperm fraction of Janelle Cruz. The probability of choosing an individual at random who could be a possible contributor is more rare than 1 in 1 trillion unrelated individuals. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, counsel. Defense counsel, wish to be heard as to factual basis?
No, Your Honor.
All right, regarding count 13, the murder of DeAngelo Cruz, that count currently charges an open-ended murder to the allegation that you acted willfully, deliberately, and with premeditation when you unlawfully, with malice aforethought, murdered DeAngelo Cruz, which occurred June 5th, 1986 in the county of Orange. Your violation of Penal Code Section 187, A, that's murder in the first degree. To that charge, sir, how do you plead?
Guilty.
Further alleged a special circumstance to the murder of DeAngelo Cruz. That murder was committed in the commission of rape within the meaning of Penal Code Section 261 and pursuant to Penal Code Section 190.2, paren A, paren 17, paren 3, to the special circumstance to murder in the first degree. Do you admit or deny that?
I admit.
It's further alleged as a special circumstance to the murder of DeAngelo Cruz that it was committed in the commission of a burglary within the meaning of Penal Code Section 459 and a violation of Penal Code Section 190.2, paren A, paren 17, paren 7. To that special circumstance to murder in the first degree, do you admit or deny?
I admit.
Court finds that Mr. DeAngelo has made a knowing, voluntary, and intelligent waiver to his rights to jury trial, the confrontation, and against self-incrimination. Court further finds a plea was made voluntarily and with an understanding of the nature of these charges pending, as well as the consequences of this plea. Court does find there's a factual basis for the plea and the admissions. Do the people accept the plea and the conditions stated on the record?
I do, Your Honor.
Court accepts the plea and the conditions stated on the record. As to count 10, court does find Mr. DeAngelo guilty. Count 10, violation of Penal Code Section 187, paren A, murder in the first degree of Patrice Harrington. Court further finds that the murder was committed during the course of a rape in violation of Penal Code Section 190.2, paren A, paren 17, paren 3, based on his admission. Court further finds that the murder was committed in the course of a burglary in violation of Penal Code Section 190.2, paren A, paren 17, paren 7, based on his admission. As to count 11, court does find Mr. DeAngelo guilty. Violation of Penal Code Section 187, murder in the first degree of Keith Harrington. Court further finds that that murder was committed in the course of a burglary in violation of Penal Code Section 190.2, paren A, paren 17, paren 7, based on his admission. As to count 12, court does find Mr. DeAngelo guilty. Violation of Penal Code Section 187, paren A, that's murder in the first degree of Manuela Wittoon. Court further finds that that murder was committed in the course of a rape. Violation of Penal Code Section 190.2, paren A, paren 17, paren 3, based on his admission. Court further finds that that murder also was committed in the course of a burglary. Violation of Penal Code Section 190.2, paren A, paren 17, paren 7, based on his admission. Court further finds that that murder was committed during the commission of a robbery. Violation of Penal Code Section 190.2, paren A, paren 17, paren I, based on his admission. As to count 13, court finds Mr. DeAngelo guilty. Violation of Penal Code Section 187, paren A, murder in the first degree of DeAngelo Cruz. Court further finds that that murder was committed during the commission of a rape within the meaning of Penal Code Section 190.2, paren A, paren 17, paren 3, based on his admission. Court further finds that murder was committed in the course of a burglary within the meaning of Penal Code Section 190.2, paren A, paren 17, paren 7, based on his admission. The people waive referral of this matter to the Probation Department for a formal report pursuant to California Penal Code Section 1203, paren B, paren 4, and in its place request a 1203C report.
Yes, we do, Your Honor.
Defense waive as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
Anything else from either counsel on this matter?
You're very much no.
Thank you, counsel.